Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly, reporting from the Republican Convention in the Unresolved Problems segment tonight. Just about everybody expects this campaign to be dirty because that's the climate in which we all live. Internet hate sites have made it easy for emotionally disturbed individuals to say just about anything they want to the entire world. And some of these nuts even get mainstream media exposure. The DailyKos is the absolute worst, routinely printing defamation and hatred at a level never before seen in the United States. The latest from these gutter snipes is that Governor Palin did not give birth to a Down syndrome baby. Her teenage daughter did. We can find no evidence to support that, and there are pictures of Mrs. Palin herself pregnant. But it doesn't matter to the DailyKos. It doesn't get lower than that, ladies and gentlemen, and Barack Obama even addressed it.
I have said before, and I will repeat again, I think people's families are off limits. And people's children are especially off limits. This shouldn't be part of our politics. You know, my mother had me when she was 18. And, you know, how family deals with issues and you know, teenage children, that shouldn't be the topic of our politics. We don't go after people's families. We don't get them involved in the politics. It's not appropriate and it's not relevant. Our people were not involved in any way in this, and they will not be. And if I ever thought that there was somebody in my campaign that was involved in something like that, they'd be fired.
Well, that means the senator has to fire the DailyKos, because you'll remember that he and other Democratic candidates spoke at their convention despite withering criticism from the factor. With us now here in St. Paul, Mary Catherine Hammer, the D.C. Examiner, and Juan Williams, a Fox News analyst. Now, I know you remember that, Juan.
I do.
We pulled JetBlue sponsorship out of there. We killed them all when they went in there, and they all said, oh, no, no, no. Now what are they saying? With the DailyKos, using a Down syndrome baby. It doesn't get worse. These people went to their convention, traveled. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, John Edwards, on and on and on went in there.
DailyKos has come to some way be the voice of the far left in the country, and it is despicable in terms of the kind of gutter comments and personal attacks.
You've been doing this for 3 decades.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything worse than that? Have you seen anything worse? I have not.
What's going on is the internet has elevated this.
No, but this specific using
but the kind of language,
baby.
No, and you know what? And then they're talking about exactly what she was doing and when her water broke and did she travel? Did she endanger? They know nothing. They know nothing. They have no evidence. If you were looking at the John Edwards story by comparison, the National Enquirer of all people, they were doing actual reporting. These people do no reporting. So it's all about personally trying to libel and intimidate you, and that's what the DailyKos is good at. But now the only thing that I would say is the real story here is if Palin had lied, well, then it's an issue because then she could be extorted, blackmailed, or whatever.
But they
didn't know that.
Right.
They had no idea.
They have no clue.
The entire evidence for this is a raft of pictures where she looks rather thin. I mean, that's the extent of their evidence. And there's an entire raft of pictures, of course, where she looks very pregnant. So it's ridiculous in a million ways. An Alaska TV reporter today came out on Huffington Post to refute it and say, come on, people, of course she had this baby. And in order to believe that she didn't, you would have to believe that this young girl turned around and simply got pregnant again after she had this first secret pregnancy. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. And Obama came out today, and I thank him for it.
Classy.
And part of it is to preempt what he knows is going to go on these blogs, and it's going to continue to go on after the announcement from Palin today.
But he can't get away from attending the convention, can he?
Yeah, I think this is the kind of thing that if he's looking for an opportunity to make it clear to the American people that he's not part of the extremist left, this is a clear moment.
Newsweek magazine employs the guy who runs, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Newsweek magazine employs him.
Yes. And DailyKos, I'll put this in there, DailyKos did step it back today when they realized this was a PR problem for them. And
they stepped it back, did they?
said, let's not talk about this and don't get into it in comments. But everyone in the comments is still saying that this is Bristol's second pregnancy. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous.
It's so ugly. And you're right, Juan. That anybody, now Americans are starting to wise. Most Americans don't go to this sleazy website. No. They don't know what it is. But now that they're starting to understand the extent of the hatred that is involved in our political system, now that we can put names and faces on it, do you realize that there's an NBC News anchor that blogs on the DailyKos? Do you realize that?
And several Democratic politicians blog there as well. I believe Elizabeth Edwards has in the past. And I don't want to name anybody who's not exactly correct. But,
if you don't know, don't say.
I do know that Elizabeth Edwards and some other mainstream folks have blogged there before because they have to pay penance to this far-left group.
Now, Juan, this is a tough question for you. There are Nazi websites and there are Klan websites in this country. Okay? If a Republican politician went to their convention.
Oh, game over. But white supremacy. Look. The racism and the white supremacy. Look, we know what they are, and we.
Is it difference?
There is a difference. There is a difference, and the difference is that we have a history here in terms of racism in this country that's absolutely abysmal, and we're trying to deal with it, and we have dealt with it and succeeded. What's going on with the DailyKos is political. They're trying to attack people who are Democrats, who are Republican or conservative in their views, and they're doing it because they hold those views, and they're trying to make them out to be monsters.
Is the level of hatred the same, in your opinion?
Level of hatred. Look, I don't care if you came at me, Bill O'Reilly, and started saying horrible things about me. I don't care what. It's wrong, especially when you have no basis to say it. It becomes a personal attack. It becomes an ad hominem attack for the simple desire of your part to defeat me. And that's all that's going on. DailyKos wants to caricature people who are on the right, and they're willing to go to this gutter level to attack Sarah Palin. The only political conversation here is, to my mind, if John McCain knew this up front, why didn't he say it up front? Why wasn't he forthright about it? Why do they wait until the DailyKos goes into the gutter to respond to the DailyKos?
It's two different stories. I mean, the story about the girl being pregnant at 17 is a legitimate news story.
Yeah, but I'm saying they should have said it up front if they knew it.
I said that too.
Okay.
But this other thing is a fabricated piece of garbage.
Absolutely. And spread with the intent of poisoning the political discourse and hurting Sarah Palin.
Right.
Well, I think there is a little distinction. There is some actual political news on DailyKos from time to time. The problem that they have on all of these lefty sites is that they encourage this culture of nastiness, and even though they do certain things and they can be liberal activists for various causes that are sometimes decent, they end up torpedoing their entire efforts with things like this, and they don't walk it back. And it's Obama's turn for a sister soldier moment with these people.
That's what I think. And you know, the DailyKos tried to dial it back. They had somebody on there who said, you know what? Here's a picture where the girl.
Too late.
Too late, Jake. Too late. You're out.
Right.
Well,
we'll see how. But Obama today handled it correctly. But he never again to these people ever again can they associate. The next one who does will be featured here. Juan, Mary Catherine, thanks very much.